Alright, welcome back to the channel, guys. It's been a few weeks now. We've been busy putting in a lot of farm work. Almost July now. Next week's episode, we're going to be discussing trail camera tactics. Now that we're getting closer to July, I will be talking about how to find summer bucks, and then also how to prepare for the upcoming fall, where to switch your trail cameras over to anticipate where the movement's going to be. Currently down in one of our larger food plots today. Just got done spraying some 2,4-D down here, kill off these broadleafs, and we got sorghum growing. So it should be a really good plot. Nice sunny day. We've had a lot of rain recently, so that's good. Definitely pushed along that germination process for our sorghum. Today's topic is going to be talking about food plots, but we're going to go a little more in depth today. And we're not so much going to be talking about what kind of seed blends to use, time of season to plant, or what kind of tools to be using, as far as if you're using hand tools or if you're using, like a drill or a corn planter. Today's going to be more about what to do after you've designed a food plot and how to enhance that food plot to encourage mature bucks to, give you a shot opportunity. This food plot's about 4 years old now. The last 3 years, we've really been monitoring it, watching what the mature bucks are doing. And we've had a heck of a time connecting with them in here. And that's all about to change, I believe. We'll show you guys what we're working on right now. All right, guys, so I'll back up a little bit so you can see what we got going on here. So this was our sorghum and radish plot last year, where you saw us harvest that 9-pointer. And I'll kind of show you guys what we've been dealing with, some mistakes I've made, and some improvements I've made. It's one of those things, even though you got a nice food plot or you feel like you have a really good design, it never hurts to keep learning. So as you can see, there's a mistake right there. Box blind doesn't have enough cover around it, and honestly, I really don't like the silhouette of the box itself. So I think what I'm going to do this year is, when I cut down a bunch of spruce to fill that whole bottom ladder in and have that really kind of tie into the habitat there, the native habitat, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tape spruce limbs on top of the blind, like up on the roof, climb up there with a ladder, cover that, and then maybe put some in and around the windows. And I did hinge cut a tree off to the side here that actually is starting to sprout and starting to shoot up, so I'm hoping that'll kind of fill that in. And then I cut some of this honeysuckle here last year, just, right at that side window there, so I could get some shot opportunities down in the timber. So that's one mistake right there. When designing a food plot, if you're going to hunt out of a box blind and you're in, highly pressured areas, you really want to get those things covered up, get them brushed in as well as possible. There's no excuse for that. So we're not going to let that happen again. One positive for this food plot now is off to the side here at 20 yards, we got a watering hole. So 300-gallon watering hole. That created a lot of shot opportunities last year. That really improved the amount of daylight movement I saw down here, and just overall just bringing deer from the food plot right in front of the blind. With that, yes, you are going to add risk, but with risk, you add reward. So I'd rather it be a little bit riskier getting in and out of this thing. We already have good access, so it's not that bad to begin with. But I'd rather make it a little bit riskier and have a better hunt for it. And after all, really, when it comes to a food plot, you probably shouldn't hunt these things that much anyway. I talk about that all the time. I like to hunt the transitions or up in the bedding, or even the destination food source, which would be like an ag field. You got to move around. You got to be smart when you come in and out. You got to make sure you have a good wind. But adding the watering hole, that's been a good add. All right. We're going to walk down to this far end here and show you the biggest change we've made to this food plot this year. Alright guys, so here's our scrape tree here. Highly recommend adding these as well. This is 30 yards. Watering hole's 22 yards. This is 30 yards out to the edge of this. Like if you have a buck working this and he's actually standing out here, that's closer to 35 yards. What we did here to really make a big change is, we already know they like to come off that ridge top, and we got a logging road, and I know you can't really see the trail right now just because the vegetation's so thick, but they come down that and work right in here. We've been going through edge feathering, getting rid of all the canopy, and that's what exploded. This food plot is just absolutely loaded in pokeweed now, and I'll show you this. It is unbelievable. The side of this plot is like this all the way around. And then what we did was come through and mowed out some trail systems from the agricultural field into the timber here. This is a timber food plot. Obviously we've been removing the canopy for many years now. Got a lot of hardwood trees cut out of here. But one of the biggest changes we've made is this right here. Hey, I'm going to cut down this one last hardwood tree. But I did make the decision. I've been going back and forth. And we're leaving the rest of this. We're not going to remove these trees. And not only that, I'm not planting this anymore. I'm going to end the food plot right here. So you can see where we roller crimped and mowed. I made a nice hard edge here. Sprayed all this with 2,4-D so this will die off. Tie in right with the rest of the food plot here. We got sorghum already planted. We do need to get this one hardwood tree down. But what I did back here was, instead of planting this in, you know, sorghum and then coming back through with radish and stuff, I'm just creating more cover. One thing I've noticed on this farm is that there are certain areas on this property that have a lot of cover, and that's where I end up connecting with my biggest deer. It's just too open down here. The whole idea was to create a really good quality food plot, but I ended up making it too big. So now if you look on this edge, look at this native habitat. It is like this all the way around here. So it really got me thinking, why don't I do that exact same thing from the edge of this food plot all the way back? Just let all this stuff go. I've got a really nice oak tree right there that's starting to explode. I can come through here and I can cut down some of these lower value hardwood trees. Open that canopy up just a little bit more back here. That's going to increase the sunlight, increase this native habitat here. I mowed a trail system here and one down on the edge. We'll show you what this is going to look like. But just by not coming through here and rolling and cleaning this up, look at all this native habitat growing in here now. This is all high quality forage for the deer, as well as cover. This is just exploding. And the reason we're doing this is that last year I kind of had the final straw with that stinking buck we've been chasing. Finally got close to him again up top and made a I don't know, a bold move, I guess, to come down here that evening and try to hunt him, knowing dang well I should have stayed up on that ridge top, but I was trying to play it safe. And ultimately what happened was he came right off this thick corner here. There's an inside corner. It butts up to a little bedding pocket, so there's a nice bedding pocket and then ag field, and then there's a trail system that I made that comes right into this food plot. Well, behind me, this was all open food plot, and the second he got to this edge here, he kind of looked in the plot, reached his head down, ate some radish, and then went right up that ridge top. Was never going to give me a shot opportunity. Was 100+ yards from my box blind. I just made this food source a little bit larger than I really needed to. I was worried with the deer density around here that, you know, they were just going to wipe me out, but that hasn't been the case. So in all reality, I need to shrink this food plot down. I need to bring it closer to that box blind. I need to brush that blind in better, and I need to create more native habitat and cover coming up to it to make these deer feel safe coming through here. So we'll walk you back on this pre-existing spot here where I've already edge feathered all of it, cleared out the hardwoods, and that was our old edge, and I'll show you what this stuff behind me is about to look like. So walk over here. So this is the old trail system. This used to be the edge. That's why you can tell it's a lot taller than this stuff out here. But look at all this native habitat. We don't have a bunch of invasives growing in here because they came through with the brush mower. I brush mowed all the invasive species out of here for the most part. And then started cutting hackberry trees down to encourage sunlight over here. And it just absolutely exploded. So just a little look at our setup. So this trail system goes all the way back into this thick bedding cover, and we don't really go back there. We do have a stand right on the edge of this for a north wind. It's really risky, but it's a really good spot because that's where that short G2 buck came right down this trail here. While I was in my box blind, he worked this trail system here. But at the time, this was a nice, short, lush rye and radish plot starting right here. And from right here all the way down to the box blind, this was just wide open food plot. He got to about right here, looked down at that box and was like, nope, not having it. Turned, fed, went up that ridge. Caught him on a trail camera later that night up there. But now look at this. There's no reason for him not to feel comfortable. He's gonna have all the side cover, and I know once we get into late October, middle of November, this stuff start to, decay. Everything's gonna die off. But over time, we will start to get some shrubs and woody browse and stuff back in here, and we're just gonna try to create a really, really thick bedding pocket, just an edge of cover all the way up to this food plot, and then this will be where the trail exits instead of back there. They'll enter right in here. We'll have our last hardwood tree out. This will be a nice open food plot. We do have a nice U shape that I like, so when they come off these ridges here, down in here, they have to round this food plot to at least here on that edge to be able to see down here. And a lot of times what they do is they'll work across this thing like this, and this is where the thick cover begins again, and it leads out to ag. So they like to cut across just like this, come in, check this scrape. Too late, already got a 30-yard shot doing that. The other thing is, if they come down the creek, we've got another trail system that leads right out into this. Again, if they get to right here, 35, 40 yards if they're out here. They come off this ridge top and they're down in here. By the time they get to there, that's like 48, 50 yards. They move just a little bit in here and they're already, they're in the shooting zone. So any trail system around here, I still have a good wind direction and I can seal this box blind up, and I'm coming off that creek and I'm barely walking in the timber more than maybe 60 yards. I can slip right in there, and no matter where these deer come in and out of this thing, it's gonna funnel them in this direction. So when it comes to making food plots, guys, yes, you do want quality seed. Yes, there's importance to what type of seed, what month you plant. But for me, I'm more worried about what's the best spot. And a lot of times we just look at things like, oh, there's a clearing here, this would be a great spot for a food plot, without actually analyzing, why that's going to be a good food plot, or is it a likely spot that deer are going to come through? Is it a really good spot as far as access goes? What are the odds? I like it a little bit riskier, but with good access, that creates really good odds. So when you guys are designing food plots, or if you're enhancing a food plot this season on your farm, if you have a really large, maybe 1-2 acre food plot, and you're just not getting deer in close, you might need to do something like I'm doing, where cut that plot in half, make half of that be screening or native habitat or some kind of cover, whether you want to plant trees or shrubs, and then make the rest of it food plot closer to where your stand location is. Hopefully that was helpful, guys. When it comes to designing these food plots, there's a lot more to it than just getting seed in the ground. So I really hope that helps you guys out. If you have any questions, leave comments down at the bottom, and we'll be back next week with that trail camera episode. Thanks, guys.